There was one man ruling a tiny desert kingdom surrounded by wars, revolutions, and assassins managed to keep his throne and his country standing for nearly half a century. This isn't a fictional plot. It is the real story of King Hussein of Jordan, the king who walked on a tightrope for 47 years, balancing between enemies, friends, and even his own people, and somehow made Jordan one of the most stable countries in the Middle East. But how did he do it, and what did it cost him? Stay with me, because this story is a spiral of suspense, betrayal, survival, and the kind of decisions that could break any leader. Let's rewind. Hussein bin Talal became king of Jordan in 1952. He was only 16 years old. Imagine that most teenagers are worrying about school, about friends, maybe about their first crush. Hussein, he was handed a throne. And this wasn't an easy throne. Jordan in 1952 was a fragile, young country squeezed between Israel, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Palestine. Everyone wanted something from Jordan. Everyone wanted to pull the king in their direction. Hussein knew one wrong step could destroy not only his reign but his entire country. Here's the first shocker. Just a year before he became king, he almost died. In 1951, his grandfather King Abdullah I was assassinated while entering Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. Hussein, only 15 years old, was right next to him. The bullet aimed at him was stopped by a medal on his chest. Think about that, a teenager watching his grandfather collapse in front of him, realizing that enemies were already targeting him. That moment shaped his entire life. He knew from day one that survival would mean more than just ruling, it would mean balancing like no other king in the region. Now, here's where the balancing act begins. Jordan's population was a mix, native Jordanians and Palestinian refugees who had come after the creation of Israel in 1948. Palestinians soon made up the majority, and many didn't trust the monarchy. At the same time, powerful Arab leaders, Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser, Syria's military rulers, Iraq's coups were calling for revolutions and the overthrow of monarchies. Meanwhile, Israel was just across the river, watching every move. And the West, the United States and Britain, wanted Jordan to stay pro-Western. Hussein, he was caught in the middle of all of it. In 1957, not long after becoming king, Hussein faced his first major test. Jordan's parliament and army were filled with pro-Nasser, pro-Soviet officers who wanted to topple him. They plotted a coup. Imagine being 21 years old, realizing your own generals were about to overthrow you. Hussein acted fast. He personally drove to army headquarters, confronted his officers, and purged them from the ranks. By doing that, he saved his throne but also made enemies across the Arab world. Nasser called him a puppet of the West. Many Jordanians thought he was too dependent on British and American support. But Hussein had no choice. He knew if he fell, Jordan would fall with him. Then came 1967, the Six-Day War. This was the moment that could have destroyed Jordan completely. Nasser and other Arab leaders pressured Hussein to join the war against Israel. Hussein knew Jordan's army was too weak. He also knew if he didn't join, Arabs would call him a traitor. But if he did join, he risked losing land. He tried to warn Nasser privately, telling him Israel would crush the Arab armies. But the pressure was too great. Hussein joined the war. The result? Disaster. Jordan lost the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Hundreds of thousands more Palestinian refugees flooded into Jordan. Hussein was devastated. He cried in private, but in public he stood firm. He told his people, "We lost a battle, but not the war." Still, the loss of Jerusalem haunted him for the rest of his life. Now here's where the story takes a darker twist. After 1967, many Palestinian groups set up bases in Jordan. They wanted to use Jordan as a platform to attack Israel. But they also started acting like they were the real rulers of Jordan, blocking roads, collecting taxes, carrying weapons openly. Hussein saw it as a direct threat to his monarchy. And then came 1970, what history calls Black September. Palestinian guerrilla groups clashed with the Jordanian army. It turned into a civil war on Jordanian soil. Hussein faced the ultimate nightmare. If he cracked down, Arabs would call him a butcher of Palestinians. If he didn't, he would lose his throne. For 10 brutal days, Jordan's army fought the Palestinian groups, killing thousands. Hussein ordered the army to restore control, even though it broke his heart. Syria even sent tanks to overthrow him during the chaos. But Hussein held on. It was one of the bloodiest chapters in Jordan's history. And yet, it was the moment Hussein showed the world he would do whatever it took to keep Jordan standing. But Hussein's challenges didn't stop there. In the 1970s and 80s, the Arab world was boiling with wars, oil politics, and shifting alliances. One year Hussein was siding with Egypt, the next year with Iraq, the next with Saudi Arabia. He had to keep moving, adjusting, balancing. When Egypt signed peace with Israel in 1979, most Arabs boycotted Egypt. Hussein condemned Egypt in public, but privately, he envied the peace. He wanted something similar for Jordan. Still, he had to wait. He had to keep his people united, and he had to keep his throne secure. Then came the Gulf War of 1990–1991. Another impossible choice. Iraq. Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. The West wanted Jordan to condemn Saddam. But many Jordanians, especially Palestinians, saw Saddam as a hero for standing up to America and Israel. Hussein knew if he openly opposed Saddam, he could face riots at home. But if he supported Saddam, he would lose Western aid. What did he do? He walked the line again. He tried to mediate. He refused to send troops against Iraq, but also avoided full support for Saddam. The result? Jordan's economy collapsed from sanctions. People suffered. But Hussein again survived politically. He once said, "I am always accused of being on both sides. But if I were not, Jordan would not exist." Finally, in 1994, Hussein made his boldest move. After secret talks with Israel, he signed a peace treaty with Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. Jordan became the second Arab country after Egypt to make peace with Israel. It was risky. Many Arabs called him a traitor. But Hussein believed peace was the only way forward. He hugged Rabin publicly, and the two developed real trust. In fact, when Rabin was assassinated in 1995, Hussein gave one of the most emotional speeches at his funeral, saying, "You were a brother, and I shall miss you." Peace with Israel gave Jordan stability, U.S. aid, and security. But it also left a deep divide inside Jordanian society. Some saw Hussein as a visionary, others as a betrayer of the Palestinian cause. By the late 1990s, Hussein was dying of cancer. After nearly 47 years on the throne, he had seen assassination attempts, wars, betrayals, and countless sleepless nights of decision-making. Before his death in 1999, he made one last balancing act, changing the line of succession. He replaced his brother Hassan, who was supposed to be king, with his son Abdullah II. It shocked the royal family, but Hussein knew Abdullah was the right man for the future. On February 7, 1999, King Hussein died, and the world mourned. Leaders from across the globe, even rivals, called him the peacemaker. For Jordanians, he was more than a king. He was the man who kept their country alive when it could have easily collapsed a dozen times. So what's the moral of this story? King Hussein's life teaches us that leadership isn't about always pleasing everyone. It's about survival, about protecting your people even when choices are painful. He balanced between East and West, Arabs and Israelis, Jordanians and Palestinians. He was never fully trusted by anyone, but he was respected by everyone. And because of that, Jordan is still standing today, while so many other countries in the region have fallen into chaos. If you've stayed with me through this journey, here's my call to you. Leadership, whether in politics or in life, is about balance. Sometimes, making everyone happy is impossible. But standing firm, protecting what matters most, and walking the tightrope with courage, that's what creates real stability. What do you think about King Hussein's decisions? Was he a hero, a survivor, or just lucky? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more real stories from history that the world should never forget. Because history isn't just the past, it's the lessons we carry forward.